Hey everyone, today I'm going to walk you through a really slick tool I've been using to turn long videos into short viral clips. This whole process happens without wrecking your PC or making you spend hours stuck in an editor. The tool is called Vizard, and honestly, if you've been using older apps like Outplayed or Metal, Vizard feels like the next level upgrade. It's not that those other apps are garbage, but Vizard solves the problems those apps frequently can't handle. Specifically, I'm talking about tedious manual trimming, heavy local encoding processes, and a complete lack of content scheduling. I'll show you exactly how it works, how to get it set up quickly, and the precise workflow I use daily. This means you can start pumping out shorts and reels consistently without completely losing your mind. First off, let's get a quick overview of what Vizard actually is. Vizard is essentially an AI-driven editor that automatically finds the best highlights in your long-form footage. It then immediately turns those moments into fully ready-to-post clips for social media. The three features I personally use the absolute most are auto-editing for viral clips, auto-schedule for posting, and the content calendar management hub. These features mean you no longer have to be glued to Premiere Pro just to get consistent content across all your platforms. Whether that's TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or Instagram Reels, the process is streamlined significantly. But don't worry, I'm not going to sit here and pretend Vizard is some magic wand that does every single thing perfectly. I will definitely point out the specific scenarios where you should still open up a proper, full-featured editing suite. Okay, let's talk about signing up and getting started because it is ridiculously simple. I'll drop the link down in the description below, so just click that and you will land directly on Vizard's homepage. Once you hit sign up, you can use Google or your standard email to create the account. After verifying if needed, you are officially in and ready to begin clipping. Crucially, instead of downloading heavy local software that constantly hogs your CPU, Vizard runs entirely within the cloud. This cloud-based approach is absolutely fantastic if your personal PC is currently running on the slower side. Once you log in, the first step is clicking Create Project and giving it a descriptive name. I usually name it something relevant to the specific stream or podcast episode I'm clipping from. Next, you upload your source file, which can be a local recording, a recorded stream highlight, or even a direct YouTube link. Essentially, you feed it whatever long-form content you want successfully turned into digestible bytes. The initial upload speed is obviously going to depend entirely on your internet connection, so patience is key here. Here's a quick pro tip. If you record at insanely high bit rates, consider transcoding to something reasonable first, to save yourself time. But in most scenarios, Vizard's cloud processing handles all the heavy encoding work for you automatically. It then exports your final clips in crisp 1080p at 60 frames per second if your original file supports that level of quality. However, if your source file is only 720p or lower, you shouldn't expect the AI to magically create detail that simply wasn't present in the original recording. After your file is fully processed and ingested, you need to click that big auto edit or generate clips button. This is the moment where the AI combs through all your footage and intelligently picks out the most engaging moments. It bases these choices on things like audio spikes, any viewer chat activity, and general interest markers it detects. You will receive a solid batch of suggested clips back in just a matter of minutes, which is incredibly fast. Now, some of you might be thinking, my PC handles rendering fine. Why should I bother with Vizard then? The answer is yes, you should still use it because even on the best system, manual editing is a massive, unavoidable time sink. Vizard frees up your valuable time so you can actually focus on making better content, not trimming every tiny jump cut manually. Reviewing these AI-suggested clips is designed to be very intuitive right inside the platform. You can quickly check each suggested segment, easily adjust the in and out points for better timing, and add quick caption placeholders. It's also simple to set the correct aspect ratio, whether you need vertical for shorts or horizontal for traditional YouTube. You can even apply one-click auto subtitles, which look professional and highly readable. Unlike older apps that sometimes give you tiny contextless snippets of literally nothing, Vizard really focuses on maintaining narrative context. It usually keeps a little bit of build-up or follow-through so that the resulting short clip actually lands its intended point. One of the features I absolutely love the most is the integrated scheduling flow for posting content automatically. Instead of constantly exporting files and then manually uploading them to 3 different sites, you just hit Auto Schedule. From there, you simply select your desired platforms and set the posting frequency that works for your strategy. This could be daily, every other day, or maybe just 3 times a week, whatever fits your personal brand. Vizard will then automatically queue up those curated clips across all selected channels. The dedicated content calendar then gives you a visual grid where you can drag, drop, reschedule, or bulk edit captions. Again, other tools let you clip content, but they simply do not handle this level of multi-platform scheduling so cleanly. If achieving consistency across all your various social channels is important, this single feature is a genuine game changer for your workflow. Alright, now let's cover a few practical settings and tips so you don't run into any surprise performance or quality issues. Since the primary encoding is handled server-side by Vizard, your local PC strain is kept wonderfully minimal. This means the main bottleneck you need to worry about for speed is generally just your initial upload bandwidth. That said, always pick the highest export setting your original file can possibly support for the best result. I recommend starting with 1080p at 60 FPS and a good, solid bitrate to see how fast your uploads run. If you notice uploads taking an unreasonable amount of time, feel free to drop down to 720p for a much faster turnaround. However, try your absolute best to keep the frame rate locked at 60 FPS, especially if your gameplay involves a lot of fast motion. For those of you with older, lower-spec PCs, this cloud processing is an enormous win compared to local encoders like X264, which will completely destroy your CPU. Let's run through a quick initial test flow to make sure the pipeline is solid before you commit major content. The very first thing you should do is upload a shorter 20 to 30-minute clip, not your entire 4-hour masterpiece. Let Vizard process that and then generate the clips, schedule just a couple of them, and closely monitor initial performance. If you notice any major frame drops or any kind of quality loss in the final exported posts, recheck your original source file recording settings. Remember, Vizard is designed to preserve and optimize what you provide, but it absolutely cannot fix inherently garbage source material. You should also test different clip lengths across the board to see what specific format your audience responds to best. Generally, the AI suggests that 45 to 60-second window is the sweet spot for most major platforms you'll be posting to. However, sometimes for things like fast-paced TikTok content, that shorter 15 to 30-second format can absolutely win out. Because this is all cloud-based, you do need to be aware of Vizard's internal storage and file retention rules. I highly recommend setting a sensible retention policy, so old raw files don't just sit there eating up your allocated space indefinitely. For me, keeping the raw files for about 30 to 90 days is usually sufficient unless it's a major evergreen piece of content. You also have the option to link external cloud storage like Google Drive as a dedicated backup solution. Make sure you set a high enough processing limit if you plan on doing daily uploads, so Vizard doesn't suddenly halt processing your content. Pro users, of course, will likely want the higher tier plans for extended storage and more aggressive auto-scheduling capabilities. Now, a crucial note from me as an editor: Vizard's internal editor is certainly powerful for those quick, necessary micro tweaks. This includes minor subtitle adjustments, small trimming corrections, aspect ratios, and applying basic titles. But if you are creating a polished cinematic montage with multiple camera angles, heavy color grading, or complex transitions, you must use a dedicated NLE. Think of Vizard as the dedicated fast lane for social media content generation, built for speed and consistency. It gets you 80 to 90% of the way to a publish-ready clip with minimal effort, which is where the real value lies. For that remaining 10 to 20% of high-polish work, then open up Premiere or DaVinci like you normally would. Now for some crucial integration tips to really automate your entire content machine. You absolutely must go into the settings and link all your social accounts, like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Then, take the time to set up a default posting template, which includes placeholders for things like the clip title and necessary tags. This feature alone can save you literally hours every single week by eliminating repetitive caption writing. Vizard will suggest tags based on its content analysis, but you should always skim them and never just blindly copy everything. While Vizard generates a few good thumbnail options, I personally always upload a custom thumbnail for my highest performing clips. Here is the exact testing and optimization workflow that I use every single time to ensure quality scaling. Step 1. Take a casual stream or a practice video that you are not emotionally attached to for the initial test. Step 2 involves uploading that test file and letting the AI generate a manageable batch of initial clips. Step 3 is to schedule a very slow cadence for about a week, maybe just 3 posts, and then diligently watch the resulting analytics. Based on that initial feedback, you then adjust things like clip lengths, caption tone, or posting times to maximize engagement. Once you identify the settings that truly work for your audience, you can confidently lock those in and begin scaling the process up. If you try to drop a massive high-stakes competitive match or a huge live event into this pipeline without testing, you will get stressed out. Starting conservatively and then dialing up the frequency is always the safest path to sustainable growth here. Let's address some of the most common questions I keep hearing about this type of tool. First, will Vizard automatically make me viral every single time I post? The simple answer is no. It is not a magical guarantee. However, it massively increases your statistical odds by systematically finding engaging moments and delivering them consistently to your audience. Next, people ask about privacy and platform terms of service compliance, so Vizard includes options for keeping projects completely private. You always need to double-check the content if it includes copyrighted music or clearly identifiable footage of other people. And please, do not spam my comments with your specific CPU and GPU details asking for a perfect custom preset. Since this is a cloud-first operation, your local specs only matter for the initial recording and the final upload speed. Time for a quick, fair comparison against the older tools like Outplayed and Metal. Those older apps are great for local, on-the-fly clipping and quick saves right after a moment happens. But they rely heavily on local encoding, which absolutely tanks low NPCs and forces you into manual uploading later. They also severely lack the robust, integrated scheduling and content calendar features that Vizard centralizes so well. Other cloud clip generators might cut content automatically, but they often slice things awkwardly or output clips that lack essential context. Vizard's key strength is finding that perfect balance: smart, contextually aware cutting, centralized scheduling, and calendar management. That consistent multi-platform presence built on automated scheduling is precisely what actually grows channels over the long term. As a final few tips, always be intentional about your posting frequency, even with the auto-scheduler active. Remember that consistent quality will always beat pointless quantity, so please do not succumb to spamming. Use those suggested captions as a starting point, but always personalize them to match your unique voice and tone. Keep a very close eye on the analytics dashboard inside the content calendar to see exactly which formats are performing best. Once you find a winning format, use Vizard to help you replicate that success rapidly across all your platforms. Alright, that is absolutely everything you need to confidently start using this tool today. I've placed the sign up link directly in the description so you can test this entire workflow for yourself immediately. If you run into any specific workflow questions like multicam setup or podcast clipping methods, drop them in the comments. I will be checking in and helping out with any niche details you might run into on your specific content type. If this video helped you streamline your content system even a little bit, please hit that like button and consider subscribing. Subscribing ensures you catch my next videos on building systems that actually save you time instead of eating your life away. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I genuinely look forward to seeing you in the next video.